This question goes out to all us parents. What would you do if one day your teenage daughter came home to you and said, "Mom, I'm gay"? How do teenage daughters and their parents handle this? It's a personal bombshell. Rachel couldn't handle it. She tried to commit suicide rather than face either the problem or her mother, Denise. Ellen knew that people would pass judgment on her, but she still refused to become invisible, and her mother, Alice, stood by her. Renata knew that she was gay by the 4th grade, but she somehow managed to keep it a secret from her mom, Constance, until she was 16. And you can imagine how tough that must have been on her. The trials, the tribulations, the triumphs of lesbian teens and their mothers. That's the focus of this edition of Geraldo. Start with the absolute certainty that the pain of not being accepted is something we can all relate to, we can all understand. Notwithstanding that, notwithstanding society's reaction, more and more young lesbians are coming out of the closet. They're exposing themselves to the very different, sometimes very difficult responses that the world has in store for them. According to New York's Hetrick Morton Agency, 37% of these kids suffer violent abuse from their outraged parents. Imagine that. 4 out of 10 of these kids, lesbian teenagers, who tell their parents, suffer violent abuse at the hands of their own parents. Another 30%, and this statistic I find as appalling, 30% are like Rachel. They attempt suicide. 30%. 20% of them run away from home. Just 10%, just 1 out of 10 remains at home with their parents. 1 out of 10. In 9 cases, bad news, 1 out of 10, they stay home. In light of that minuscule statistic, that we have here 3 pairs of mothers and daughters working it out, working together, is not only rare, but it is evidence of these ladies' compassion. So please welcome again Rachel, who is 18, her mother Denise, Ellen, who is 19, her mother Alice, and Renata, 16, her mother Constance. Rachel, you're 18 years old now?
Yes.
You were 14 years old when you tried to take your life.
Yes.
Do you have a clear idea of what you were thinking that day?
I was thinking that I would never fit in with anyone else. I'd never be part of the crowd. I didn't want to live a lonely life. I didn't want to be different from everyone else.
Were you in the house when you were going through this?
Yes, I came home early from school.
Did you come home early because of your depression?
Because being at school just reminded me of how different I was.
You mean looking around and seeing like the cheerleaders and stuff like that?
That I was like no one else.
Did the kids at school know
No.
of your sexual preference at that time?
No.
Was there any single thing that set it off, that really caused you to spiral down into that kind of depression?
Not really. It just got worse and worse.
At the age of 14, for how long had you known that you were a lesbian?
At that time, I was still not sure.
What were you thinking about? What's the thought process? Help us.
I was thinking that I knew I was different and that I may be a lesbian. And I didn't know any other gay people. And I always thought that they were just sort of a diseased type of people.
Did you think yourself diseased then?
I guess I may have, yes.
So you go home from school, were you alone then in the house?
Yes.
What happened?
I just decided I didn't want to live that way. With the prejudice.
The prejudice, the loneliness. Did you at any point during this melancholy day think that let me go get some help. Let me go talk to other people who feel the same way I do. Let me talk to my mom.
No, I thought I was the only one. I didn't think anyone would understand.
So what did you do?
I took a bottle of sleeping pills.
Really? Did you become unconscious?
I fell asleep real quick.
I bet. Was it life-threatening?
I doubt it.
Did your mom find you? Your dad? What happened?
I just woke up around noon the next day and realized I was still there, which made me more depressed.
What'd you do about that?
There's nothing I could really do. I thought about doing it again, but I just didn't.
Well, then did you go to Denise and say, hey, Ma, I got some news for you? What happened?
No, I didn't tell her. She knew I was depressed, and she got me help for that. She didn't know why. I didn't think that she had known why.
Do you remember the day you told your mother?
I remember the day she asked me.
She asked first. What did you ask?
Well, I had, after she had tried to kill herself, I was, of course, really concerned because my background's in mental health, and I knew that this was a serious suicide attempt because she had taken all of the pills that she could get a hold of, and she had no idea whether or not that was enough. And she had come home sick and had slept a long time, and I just thought she was sick. And she'd left no note. She couldn't explain why she'd done it. She just said she was really depressed. So I had to take a really hard look at what was going on in her life. And what I saw is that she'd been more and more withdrawn from all of her friends. And she was only seeing her one best friend. And there was just something really, really intense about their relationship. I really can't put my finger on what it was, just a little more intimate than a normal friendship. Let
me just ask Rachel.
Uh-huh.
Can you describe this relationship that you had with your one best friend?
I had a crush on her, but it wasn't like the usual crush. I didn't
recognize it?
No, I didn't realize I had a crush on her until after, pretty much, I tried to commit suicide.
Did she recognize it?
No.
So what about this intense relationship she had with her best friend? What did you do about it?
Well, I didn't know what to do, of course. There's nothing in the parenting manuals about what you do when you think your child may be having a gay relationship. So I took her to a therapist and I said, this is what's going on, and I think maybe they might be having a gay relationship, and I don't know what to do. And I just sort of figured that the therapist would deal with it and talk to her about it, because I was really afraid to say anything to her at first because I was so concerned.
What were your feelings about homosexuality, about lesbianism at that stage in your world, in your life?
Well, I always consider myself real open-minded and liberal. And I had known a couple of gay men before, but I really wasn't sure that I'd ever met a lesbian before. So it was something sort of new and sort of different. And it's one thing to say, oh, I think it's okay for people to be gay, and it's another thing to think maybe your child might be. So that was very frightening.
Frightening? Was it something that bothered you?
Because of the situation, because she was depressed and suicidal, it's hard to separate those two things.
I understand that.
So I think I felt the way any mother would. I felt I was very scared. I thought, did I do something wrong to cause this? Is there something I can do to help her? It was very scary.
Do you remember what you said when you asked her? Pop the question, so to speak?
I think that I didn't ask her. I told her that that's what I thought. And when I did...
Do you remember the words?
Yes, I said, I think that you and Chris are having a homosexual relationship. And she was really shocked by that because she'd never attached the word gay to her feelings. She just knew that she loved her friend a lot more than other teenagers loved their friends. but it's sort of my style to be very open, and I just decided that she needed to talk to somebody, and there weren't any teachers, there weren't any counselors, there wasn't anyone that she could open up to about it, so it had to be me.
So Rachel, Mom says to you, I think you and your best friend are having a homosexual relationship. We have to take a commercial break. I want you to tell us when we come back how you reacted to that. We'll be right back. Teenage lesbians and their mothers, our focus tonight.
Start with a typical car commercial. Then take away the beautiful woman, take away the pounding music, and take away the pretty scenery. And what are you left with? One great-looking car, the special edition Pontiac Firebird XS, with all this plus a V6 and a theft deterrent system for reduced insurance costs, and priced at just $12,789 with $1,100 cash back for qualified first-time car buyers. Plus, you have the excitement of driving one. Supplies are limited, so see your Southern California Pontiac dealers today.
If you've got a taste for new carpet, come to Carpeteria and save over 40% on our most popular DuPont certified Stainmaster carpet. For just $9.99 a square yard, you can enjoy this beautiful textured plush made of the finest quality DuPont nylon with built-in protection against stains and soiling. Choose from 20 tasteful colors, all for only $9.99 a square yard. Hurry to Carpeteria now for the best rolls at the best prices around.
1 out of every 4 Americans will suffer from heart disease. 1 out of 4. But you can help reduce your family's risk with a balanced diet of food lower in fat and cholesterol and higher in complex carbohydrates. Food like Weber's bread. It's good for your heart because it can help your body defend against heart disease. Serve more bread like Weber's because 1 out of 4 is one too many.
Chippendales, the fantasy that never ends.
Wake up with news,
traffic, and weather.
And sports with a smirk.
Wake up with Action News AM, Monday morning at 6 on Channel 2.
Mom lays the bombshell.
I told her she was out of her mind. I told her, I said, Mom, that's disgusting. I said that she was wrong, definitely wrong. I wasn't one of those people, because I didn't know then.
14, 18 now, when did you find out?
I began realizing that maybe I began a relationship with my girlfriend.
Same girl?
Yeah. And
how soon after the suicide attempt?
a couple months. We decided that it was just the two of us. We weren't gay. We just liked each other. And we could never go out with any other girl. And then I drifted into a stage where I said, well, I'm bisexual. So I didn't want to have that label.
Boys and girls?
Yes. And then it wasn't until a couple years ago until I finally said, yes, I'm a lesbian.
Did the relationship survive with the old best girlfriend?
Yes, I'm still with her.
Really? And where are you? I mean, you don't have to tell me the town. I mean, do you go to college together or
We live
working?
together in an apartment. Just like a married couple, I guess.
Do you feel married?
Yeah.
Mom, does that scandalize you?
Does it scandalize me? I don't know. No, I think it's fine. She's happy, and the bottom line is that's what we all want. Yes, I think I went through a stage when I thought, and I think as parents you have to be really honest. Am I worried about what they think of her or as me? And sure, I was worried people are going to say, oh, you're a horrible mother, you know, your daughter's doing this. But I know that I'm a good mother in my own heart. And I have taught my daughter to be true to herself, to have honesty and integrity in her relationships, and for her to pretend that she was in love with a man and marry a man would be totally dishonest and totally against everything I've taught her.
What about Rachel's father? How did he react?
Okay, my husband's Rachel's stepfather, but he's been with us since she was about 5. And he's very traditional. He's Italian and somewhat conservative. He was very shocked He was very shocked, and he thought, I think for a long time he said, yes, yes, this is hard for you, hard, hard, hard. I think he thought I was imagining it for a while.
Did he think that she could get better? Like take a pill and become heterosexual?
No, although, you know, for a long time we weren't sure because of her age whether it might be a developmental phase.
Ellen, when did you know?
I first applied a label to my feelings when I was approximately 13 or so.
You know, 13, what is that, like 7th grade or in that area?
Yeah,
Junior
something.
high,
7th grade's about right, I guess.
I mean, isn't that the time when, you know, girls are thinking about, you know, frilly dresses and...
Yeah, sorry. I'm sorry.
I mean, did you, or boys, noticing boys for really the first time? At least that was in my era. Now they probably notice them in 3rd grade, but...
They smoke in 3rd grade.
Really? So did you think that you were out of sync?
Yes. I didn't... There was no attraction to men. I always had crushes on girlfriends, teachers. I always was gay. It was simply a matter of when do you realize that that's what you are? When do you apply the label? And I started applying it when I was 13.
Is this in a big city?
Yeah, New York, New York.
That's a fairly big city. So there is a lot of, I mean, kids are pretty hip here. Did you hear the word on TV or in the discussion in, you know, sexual education class?
Sexual education class, right. I learned about vitamins in sexual education class. No, I probably read it somewhere. I've always been a little bit of a bookworm.
Was there one special person, as in Rachel's case?
No, I was attracted to lots of women. I still am. I scope openly now.
But no advertising on this program. I'll warn you right now. But Alice, do you remember when she told you?
It was the same thing. I asked. Ellen had dropped lots of hints. Ellen was also a child who had been her own person for years and years and years, had never been a peer pressure child at all. And I don't know, one day in conversation, and I honestly do not remember the day at all, I finally said, "Are you gay?" And she said, "Yes." I said, "Okay." Well, no. I said the magic words, "Are you sure?" And then she said, "Yes." I said, "Okay."
This
and
is
that
at
was it.
the age of 13?
No, 15.
Oh, 15.
Yeah, but I mean, she had been dropping hints for 2 years.
Like, give me a hint.
No frilly dresses, absolutely no interest in makeup, no expressed interest in boys, no concern that she didn't have a date, and just conversation. Ellen and I were at that point going through a very intense, getting close to each other relationship. We talked about a lot of things, and we talked about everything, I think.
I mean, be honest with it. Didn't it break your heart? I mean,
No.
didn't you dream of seeing her walk down the aisle
Well,
in
any
a white
parent
dress?
has fantasies about what they think the child is going to be. If you're a wise parent, you realize your child doesn't and shouldn't live your fantasies. They should live their own lives. So if you're wise at all, you know, you're not going to be terribly upset when you discover your child isn't going to live the fantasies. You know, every parent wants their child to be beautiful, wise, safe, prosperous, happily married, provide them with gorgeous, healthy grandchildren, blah, 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 and all these things. But, you know, you can't live your kid's life. I'm not saying that at some point in time, especially if I was depressed about things, that I wouldn't add this to the list of things that was making me unhappy, that my child was different and was going to suffer.
Well, certainly you must have felt those things. Certainly
I'm sure I
those
felt
times
guilt.
must have
All
come.
parents feel guilt, and since I had not been...
Guilt what? Guilt that you weren't enough of a female
No,
role?
that I hadn't been a good mother, or I had done something to cause it, or hadn't done something that caused it. Because Ellen and I were not close in our first 11 years. We were not close at all.
But who's counting?
Yeah. And the death of her father caused me to wake up and become an adult.
At age 11, is that what it happened?
Yes, and I had to start being a parent, which I, up to that point, obviously hadn't been. And I had grown in those, starting then, very, very close to my child. And so if I felt... I had a lot to feel potential guilt about because I hadn't been great in the first 11 years. But that you can overcome. You can overcome guilt, you can overcome self-pity. And hopefully that last stirring that every parent has for their child, or most parents have for their child, which is concerned for their well-being, takes over. And that's the one you're concerned about. That's what
I'm
you get
glad
involved
that
in.
you've come to that. I mean, certainly it is a lot better than the 90% of the cases where parents absolutely reject their kids to no end other than tragedy, it seems to me. They run away, etc. But the question I have is an emotional, and I don't even know if it's a constructive one, but let me venture it anyway. Your husband, what would he have thought?
We talk about that in a totally theoretical way. My husband was Chinese, from Southeast Asia, very conservative. And my initial feeling is that he could not have accepted it, but a very good friend of mine straightened me out on that one. She said, your husband loved Ellen, and I'm sure he would have managed to deal with it. And I'm sure that's true. He was a loving, loving man. I mean, he'd done all the loving the first 11 years, so, you know, I knew he could do that. I think for me, the reason it was so easy to deal with Ellen was I knew what it was like to lose a loved one. I'd lost my husband. I knew what real mourning was all about. You feel guilt and self-pity when you lose a loved one, but that isn't going to bring him back. So why should I feel guilt and self-pity? Because my kid hadn't died. She was there, she was healthy, and she was the exact same kid she'd been the day before. It's just I knew something. She hadn't changed at all.
Renata knew in 4th grade.
Yep.
In 4th grade.
I had a crush.
And I had a crush on Miss Bauman, my teacher in 4th grade.
I had a crush on a fellow student.
All right, well, you can tell us about that. Tell us how you managed to keep it hidden until your teenage years. First, we have to take this break. We'll be right back. Teen lesbians and their mom, Al Crawford. Stay with us.
Phew! The foot odor in this family, it knocks me out from across the room.
Get Odor Eaters. Odor Eaters are cushiony insoles, blended with the world's most powerful odor destroyer, microscopic activated charcoal. Only Odor Eaters has it to eat up and destroy the worst foot odor.
Foot odor's gone.
Nothing destroys foot odor like Odor Eaters. And there's an Odor Eaters for every shoe. Odor Eaters for women, cushioned feet without crowding toes.
Mom, send $500 soon, or there won't be a honeymoon.
I'm calling about your son, Jerome. Better send money. He wants to go home.
早く送ってくれないか。スピード違反でパクられた。
To send someone money fast, come to Western Union. We'll make sure it gets to any of our 10,000 locations, usually in 15 minutes or less.
Sayonara.
Western Union, the fastest way to send money.
Geraldo. We'll be back in a moment.
Fresh, wholesome milk. And a little bit of time. That's what's behind every real California cheese seal. After all, it's perfectly natural. Your delicious Maruchan lunch takes 3 minutes before it's ready. What do you do with the time?
Me? Oh, I just like to unwind a little. Then I have lunch.
It only takes 3 minutes, but it's a good long lunch. Instant lunch from Maruchan.
Know what your health plan covers?
No. Yes.
Big things, little things?
Little things.
How about pregnancy?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
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 So have you had the usual childhood diseases?
Yeah.
Chicken pox?
Uh-huh.
Mumps?
Yes.
Gosh, what's left?
Growing up.
Pacific Care, proud to be a sponsor of the L.A. Marathon.
It's never too late to make it better.
Jordache Basics.
It's a matter of choice. Choose your own way. Jordache Basics ain't your mama's blue jeans. These jeans make
The advantage I had, Renata, in my crush on Miss Bauman was that I was, you know, admittedly 9 years old at the time, but still I was like a traditional role as portrayed in every movie, every commercial, every magazine, you know. So I knew that what my puppy love was, even if I obviously did not articulate it at the time. I just paid extra attention. I wasn't late to school. But your experience, I mean, you could not have talked to anybody about homosexuality, about lesbianism. You could not have known. I mean, what did you feel? Put it in, try and remember back in that context.
Okay, I felt isolated. I felt like I was lying. I felt lonely. And I made something that could have been a very stupid mistake, is that I told this young woman that I had a crush on her, which is like not kosher. Her reaction was...
Jewish girls always.
I told her, she kind of just walked off, and then I said, oh my gosh, what if she tells everyone at school? At that time I was saying, well, I'm probably not a lesbian, but, you know, at my age I'm supposed to.
Know a name like lesbian?
Well, because I was given an awareness by my mother especially. And I had no major mindsets against gays, lesbians, bisexuals, transsexuals, transvestites. My mom taught me to be at least relatively open-minded. However, I did feel as though this was something that I wasn't sure about. So I went to my mom and I said...
Well, let me ask you first what the girlfriend did. Did the girlfriend go and tattle on?
She wasn't a girlfriend.
Or the one you had the crush on, the object of your affection?
She didn't say anything, or it never got back to me at school, which is something I thought that would have ruined my future.
Help me, Constance. Isn't it normal for kids at an age, I'm talking about heterosexual
Absolutely.
kids, to experience some of this kind of feeling?
I think most kids growing up go through a period when they have crushes on friends of the same sex. And this was my response to Renata when she came to me. Don't worry about it. It is normal. It's a normal stage of development. You'll grow out of it. All of us went through it.
And what was Renata's response?
Maybe you don't quite understand, all right?
Are you talking about a 9-year-old girl telling you these things?
This is a very articulate young woman.
Very ultra young woman there.
But it was at 15 when she said, if you continue to respond that way, you are denying what I'm offering you.
Are you saying that, well, I thought that you disguised it from your mom after this initial conversation.
Well, I didn't disguise it. I talked with her, and every time it was just, well, it's a phase, you'll probably grow out of it, you know. And then, you know, 6 years later, you say, well, maybe it's not a phase.
During that 6-year period, were you having sexual relations?
No. But I was feeling the isolation, and if I had a crush on someone, I did not tell them. Because I had crushes on only young women.
So who were your friends?
I didn't have a whole lot of friends, but I did manage to keep myself together. I guess also because Mom told me when I came to her that first time, she said, even if in the long run you do end up to be a lesbian or gay or whatever, I will still love you as much because you are still my daughter. And that was an extremely reaffirming experience.
But go back. Take us through these years. 4th grade, 5th grade, 6th grade, 7th grade. The girls are, you know, pretending to be a modern bride, or they look up to their role models, or really frilly kind of things. I mean, that's the typical experience. Did you not go through that, or did you feel a sense of?
I didn't go through it. I resisted it to a large extent. I've always worn jeans and T-shirts, and between 5th and 9th grades, I was under constant pressure to start wearing dresses and grow my hair long and get a perm and wear lipstick and makeup and maybe even try high heels. And I didn't go for that. I just didn't go for it.
Did it break your heart, Constance?
Well, I forced her to wear a dress when she was valedictorian of her 9th grade graduating class. I forced it.
How'd you react to that?
I was not thrilled about it. And everybody wanted to take a picture of it because they hadn't seen me in a dress or skirt for 3 years. It was a momentous occasion.
Okay, Mom. She's now 16 years old. She says, I'm not going to grow out of this. You got to wake up.
I
Is that a
accept
knife in
that.
your heart? I mean, what is that? What's it like?
I accept that. The
Did
knife
you that
in
day,
the heart.
though? Did you that day?
I do not think that I'm homophobic. As I find out more and more about the lifestyle, there are things that I have to examine in myself, but I don't think I'm homophobic. What bothers
Person
me...
with a disproportionate fear of homosexuals.
That's right.
A homosexual hater, maybe even.
What bothers me is the reaction she's going to draw because it's out there when she comes out. That
What about the
bothers me.
reaction that you draw? Your friends, your social status.
Yes,
the
I
people
think...
who hold you in some esteem. Weren't you embarrassed?
I think, Geraldo, being black makes it easier because we know that open-hearted white people were condemned as nigger lovers. And we have that experience to analogize with. So we are not as much concerned about the world as we are this relationship.
Did your relationship then with your daughter enter a period of turmoil, of hard times?
Oh, there was some turmoil. We have used therapists, which is not always a good approach. Some therapists are homophobic, even though you go to them and they've been recommended as being oriented toward this problem.
What about Dad?
I'd like Renata to address that.
Yeah. I called Dad on Labor Day to come out to him, which is almost a year after I came out to Mom.
Is Labor Day this year?
Yeah, Labor Day of this year. I called him on the phone and I said, Dad, are you sitting down? He said, yeah, I'm sitting down. And I said, I'm gay. He said, oh, that's fine. Let me know if there's anything I can do to help. And, you know, I kind of interpreted that as, would you like some money for a shrink? But we haven't spoken about it much since, although he did call to say that he did not want me to come on the show until I, quote, achieved majority, end quote.
I mean, being 21 years old?
21, 18, yeah.
Whatever. Did you take that to mean that he was embarrassed?
In a way, yeah, and I think also it reflects some of his own homophobia, which he has not yet acknowledged.
How do you feel about that?
I hope that he will accept it, and maybe someday we'll sit down and talk about it.
Do you expect that?
In time, yeah, in time I do. But I will not change for him, because this is me. I am a lesbian, I am proud of it, and I will not change for anyone.
Okay. Teen lesbians and their moms. Absent dads, but and their moms. That's our focus. We'll be right back.
Good afternoon, I'm Jim Lampley. Coming up on Action News at 5, police say they've smashed a ring of bandits that preyed on people driving expensive cars. The 5 men are suspected in at least 30 stick-ups. Plus, we'll have the latest on the threatened Eastern Airlines strike. It could tie up national air travel. And the new movie New York Stories is really 3 films in 1. Entertainment reporter Steve Kometko will tell us if it's a bargain at its regular price. Those stories, plus much more ahead on Action News, Sports and Weather, immediately after Geraldo.
Second grade didn't start out so great. My best friend transferred to another school, and I missed the bus. Now, I don't know for certain what made me feel better. It could have been my mom, or it could have been the Ovaltine. Looking back, it was probably a little of each.
Ovaltine, still as good as you remember.
Hey, you want a truck? You better get out here to Worthington Dodge. We're open to midnight, and we're having a big truck sale here at Worthington Dodge and special financing. Here's an 84 Suzuki, a 4x4 Suzuki, $89 a month. An 87 Ford Ranger pickup, $94 a month. An 85 Mitsubishi pickup, a 4x4 pickup, just $98 a month. An 88 Dodge Dakota pickup, just $98 a month. And a big sale on van conversions. Looking for a new or a used van conversion, get on out here. It's Worthington Dodge on Beach Boulevard in Huntington Beach, open till midnight. See you here.
Rule number 1 at Levitt's, the customer is always right. Rule number 2, when the customer is wrong, refer to rule number 1.
Levitt's really cares about their customers. That's why more people buy at Levitt's than any other furniture store. Here's another reason. This 5-piece sectional is only $1,799 and features both left and right arm recliners, armless chair, wedge, and an armless sleeper for 2.
You'll love it at Levitt's. We're going to make sure.
From Touchstone Pictures, Nick Nolte's an ex-bank robber. Martin Short's about to become one. One knows what he's doing.
Hold your gun like a man.
And one doesn't. 3 fugitives.
You better watch where you're going, buddy.
Rated PG-13. And also from Touchstone Pictures, everyone is cheering Beaches. KCBS-TV raves 4 stars.
Very touching.
Bette Midler was really good.
WNBC-TV hails it's a hit from coast to coast. Bette Midler, Barbara Hershey, Beaches, rated PG-13. And 3 fugitives, now playing separately.
Our panel has been supplemented by some experts. Before I introduce them, though, our audience is bursting with curiosity and has some questions and comments. Let me get some of those first.
Hello. I would like to commend all of you parents and the children for your courageousness here. I applaud you all. I would like to know, what advice would you give to a parent that would not understand your situation as a lesbian?
Are you asking this of the daughter?
Yeah, try it. Rachel.
What was the question?
Any advice to a parent to, unlike your mom, who would be absolutely resistant to the whole notion and try her best to, I guess, react in a negative way?
Just to go and find out more about it. Find out more about it and don't feel like your child is dead. It is the same child.
I think also you should say to the parent that, after all, the parent is the grown-up, and the parent is the one who should be acting mature. And I think the parents should, 1, educate themselves, and 2, if they want to keep their child, they should accept their child, because the child doesn't have to stay with you. The child is going to grow up and become an adult and may never see you again.
This is Rachel. I just noticed that Rachel is much more serious, more than these 2 young ladies, and I was wondering if...
Oh, I don't know.
No, I know, I'm no offense. I think it's marvelous that they're all here. I was just saying that they seem to be so much more relaxed and open. Do you find it a little difficult, even now, that mother has accepted it and it's more out in the open? You know, just you may be of a serious nature person.
Yeah.
And I noticed that.
Are you comfortable talking about it?
Yeah, I think I am. I don't know about on TV, but...
A little added stress there.
A little added stress.
Hi. I just wanted to ask, I know that there was a lot of controversy as to, I guess, what determines a person's sexual preference, you know, whether or not it's biological or whether or not it's environmental. And asking any of you, I mean, what would be your answer to that question as to why you decided to, you know, be a lesbian?
You don't decide. It's not a choice that you make. You don't wake up one day and say, gee, I think I'll be gay. I think I'll have all my civil rights taken away from me.
Let's persecute our parents.
Yeah, you know, cool.
Born gay, everybody?
I'd say, I would not say it's environmental because I have a twin sister. And she is not gay. She's very straight.
I would add, though, I understand your question, but to be perfectly honest, I don't really think it's important. I don't really care. I don't know why I'm gay, nor do I care. All I know is that I am gay and I want to be accepted as a full human being.
I was just wondering if they think they would ever go out with a man in the near future. Ever.
I'm sorry?
Do you think there's any possibility that you might one day switch over?
I can't wake up tomorrow and tell you who I'm going to find attractive. The pattern so far is that I find women attractive.
I'll second that.
Yeah, I mean, it's not likely. I'm a lesbian. I love women.
This question is to the parents. You answered you have a twin sister. Do either of you have other children that are, well, let's say gay or lesbian? And if so, I know there's some negatives there, but there's some positives I'm sure that you would have to tell them in trying to deal with it yourself. What would you tell them, provided you did have children, if you didn't? This is so confusing to me.
Why is it confusing to you?
Well, not so much as that it's accepted. It's, I mean, what did you do after you found out to deter it, other than some of the things, oh, well, I was devastated, call your father. I mean, really.
Well, one of the things as a parent that you do, which I wanted to mention earlier, is go to PFLAG, which is
PFLAG. It's parents and PFLAG. It's parents and friends of lesbians and gays, and I belong to PFLAG Orange County. When I first went there, I still wasn't sure that she was gay. She was 15, and I just came in and there were all these wonderful parents there who all had gay sons and daughters. And I just came in and said, I don't know if my child is gay or not. You know, I don't know if I belong here. And all of these other parents have been through this grief and are there to help you. So.
Let me introduce Louise Rafkin. She is the author of Different Daughters, a book of interviews with lesbian daughters and straight moms. She also gives workshops on this topic throughout the country. Sitting next to Louise is Joyce Hunter. She is a clinical social worker at New York's Hetrick Martin. That's a multi-service agency for gay and lesbian youth and their families. The question I have for both of you, and we have to wait for the answers till after the commercial break, is 37% upon disclosure are subjected to violent abuse. It seems barbaric, and I don't care even if people are extremely disapproving of homosexuality or lesbianism or gay people, whatever it is. 37% of these episodes ending in violence is something that is almost incomprehensible, and I want to discuss that. First, we'll take the break.
Luxuriate in this beautiful living room by day. Stretch out on this queen-size sleeper with comfortable 4-inch innerspring mattress by night. Rent-A-Center has made a special purchase on the sofa chair and sofa recliner groups in a variety of fabrics. You rent to own for only $19.99 a week. Add tables and a lamp for an additional $5.99 a week. Get a beautiful new living room that includes an extra bedroom for only $19.99 a week from Rent-A-Center. Call now. Offer in soon. For the Rent-A-Center nearest you, call 1-800-572-1010 or 1-800-572-1111.
Sir, I want some more. But we can all have more. Look, new hearty cup of noodles. More please. More carrots. More meat. And bigger noodles.
Dickens, you say?
Just try some.
Delicious. Might I have more?
The more, the better. New hearty cup of noodles from Nissan.
You're looking at only part of a very special collection of lighting, handpicked to represent the best designs from America's largest lighting chain. You're looking at the Anniversary Collection from Lamps Plus. Only best sellers of exceptional quality were selected, then reduced up to half price. The Lamps Plus Anniversary Sale. The styles are hot, the prices hotter.
Why would anyone dip a crystal chandelier in pancake batter and let it dry? To prove a point. That there's a dishwasher detergent that can clean even this in just one wash. Advanced Palmolive Automatic. It breaks down the toughest stuck-on foods and leaves no powder residue. So you won't have to rewash. And that's the point. Try Palmolive Automatic. Once is all it takes.
I understand frustration. I understand what I want for my young son. I want him to grow up to be strong and smart and prosperous and all the things that Constance mentioned, sure. But does it really result so often in violence, the frustration, when the kid does not turn out the way you dreamed? I mean, why that reaction?
I don't know. You can't predict how families are going to respond, and that's been my experience in working with families and young lesbians and gay youth as well. And I just want to clarify one thing about the violence. It comes from family members. It's not necessarily the parents, but sometimes it'll be a parent, it could be a sibling, and it could be an aunt or an uncle or a cousin.
What, do they want to beat the homosexuality out of the kid? Or?
Well, that's sometimes the response that people get. And what happens is the abuse is also emotional. Boys tend to be thrown out of the homes, girls tend to run away. Because of the emotional abuse and being, physically isolated within the home. And there's a lot of pressure put on these kids to date, pressure to go to a therapist to try and get the young person to change. And again, I have to get back to the unpredictability of the families. You just can't predict how the family is going to respond. You may think that because the family is liberal or their politics are progressive, that they would be supportive. But as I've heard many parents say, you know, if it's somebody else's kid, it's not so much of a problem. But my kid, I don't know how I'm going to deal with that. And how is this going to reflect on me in the neighborhood, in my church, in my school, my synagogue, or what have you? So it's a very unpredictable thing, and also for the siblings. And so what you get is the result is this kind of violence.
Louise, do men react more? We have no husbands here.
No.
This is a program about lesbian teens and their moms. The dads do not seem, from the anecdotes, I mean, in one case, obviously tragically gone, but in the other cases, lukewarm at best. And are they more prone to violent reaction or adverse reaction?
Well, my book is on mothers of lesbians. I think what happens a lot is that the daughters will come to their mothers and tell their mothers their problems, and the mothers then have to dealing with the fathers, sometimes becoming a buffer to the rest of the family. There are very strong cases in my book about fathers who can't accept. There are also fathers who can't accept more readily than their mothers. It really depends.
I don't want to change this program into an evangelic question, because it's a whole different program. But I'd like to ask the mothers and young ladies, and also separately the professionals, does theology or the biblical context play some kind of role in the course that the ladies have taken and in the way the parents apply their ideas about it and to the panel? Do we allow at some point Christian monitors to step in and apply their own theories or thoughts to them?
Renat?
Yeah, I'd like to answer this question. I've been told by a fair number of people that I will burn in hell because of the fact that I am a lesbian, and even more because of the fact that I am a lesbian and proud of it. To which I respond that I refuse to believe in a God that will damn someone to hell for loving someone else. I do not believe that any God would damn someone to hell for loving someone else. I mean,
Rachel, let me ask you quickly. I think it's fair to say that you are the more intentionally feminine of either Renata or Ellen. I mean, you choose to wear dresses and lipsticks. I mean, they don't like to.
Many straight women don't like to wear dresses either.
But many of them, most do. Do you still?
No, I think that's unfair. We're talking
that women like to wear dresses?
You're talking about, yeah.
All right, let's take a break and then you'll discuss it. We'll discuss this later.
For free tickets to Geraldo, please write Geraldo, Times Square Station, Post Office Box 684, New York, New York, 10108. Please send a self-addressed stamped envelope or call 212-265-1283.
A canister vacuum doesn't have to be big to be powerful. Get a new Dirt Devil Can Vac. The Dirt Devil Can Vac packs a lot of big cleaning power, but it's small enough to follow you anywhere because it's a Dirt Devil.
This is a commercial. This is a phone. This is a hand. This is a phone in the hand. This is a finger. This is a button. This is the number. This is the finger dialing the number 1-800-877-4000. This is how easy it is to get 30 minutes of U.S. Sprint fiber optic long-distance calls free. To get your 30 free minutes, just call U.S. Sprint now and talk with the best.
Put the power of an upright in the palm of your hand with the Royal Dirt Devil. It has a revolving brush, and it can handle all kinds of dirt. Pick up the handheld vac that really picks up. Dirt Devil by Royal.
Geraldo. We'll be back in a moment.
Every day it's the same old thing. A dry sandwich and a boring cup of soup.
Boring. Boring.
But now there's a soup in a cup that's different. Gourmet Pride. Gourmet Pride tastes much better than cup of noodles or instant lunch, with lots more meat and vegetables. So why settle for boring? Gourmet Pride, now only 59 cents at Ralph's and the Giant. Ralph's, lower prices, higher standards.
I know. If I had a Honda, I wouldn't be in this mess.
If you had a Honda, I wouldn't be getting you out of this mess.
But you always come to my rescue.
That's because I've always had Hondas.
Yeah. You know, my choice in cars is a lot like my choice in men.
You know what? I just thought of a great guy for you.
Really?
Easy to talk to, always there when you need him.
Who?
My Honda dealer.
Your authorized Honda dealers, as dependable as the cars they sell.
Oba Oba, the sensual rhythms of native Brazil. Now at the Wilshire Theater. Charge tickets today. Call 213-410-1062.
Because of the sweeping income tax changes, many Americans became our clients for the very first time last year.
I took a look at the new form and said, forget it. I need help bad.
I've always done my own taxes in the past, but never again. Don't face the tax laws alone. Our people will get you the maximum refund you're entitled to.
Hooray for H&R Block, as far as I'm concerned.
Discover what millions of Americans already know. H&R Block gets you the maximum refund you're entitled to.
Don't settle for less.
Join the grand opening celebration of Standard Shoes' new Montclair store, and you could win a trip to Hawaii. Register to win at any Standard Shoes store.
I want to give Renata and Ellen equal time here, but tell me the truth. Don't you fantasize wearing a frilly wedding dress and walking down the aisle?
Yes, with my girlfriend.
Okay.
I think, you know, your stereotyping is one of the problems we have to deal with in terms of dealing with parents. They have these ideas. You look like this, you do that, you wear this, you don't wear that. And it's really a range of people, a range of lifestyles, a range of professions, a range of colors, a range of sizes, and it's real important to know that.
What are the no-nos?
No-nos are that you're not going to change your kid. You know, you bring a child into the world, it makes its own decisions. You need to support and love that child.
Can a parent, through conditioning or proper parenting and rearing, raise a heterosexual child?
I don't think it has to do with the raising. It's in the child. It's her decision, and that should be respected.
Good, Joyce.
One of the things that you have to remember, and what parents must remember, is that you cannot change the sexual orientation. You may be able to pressure somebody into changing behavior, but you are not going to change the orientation, and you are then setting this young person up to fail. And that's what essentially happened to me when I was growing up, and at 18 went and got married, even knowing that I was a lesbian. And I did not have the courage, nor did I have the kind of support that Rachel had.
You obviously have some regrets then, do you yet?
Regrets about what?
About your choice or about
I
your...
have no regrets.
It's not a choice.
It's not a choice, and I have no regrets. I am gay, I'm happy, and I'm proud of it. People have asked me, would you change? Would you take a pill and become... And I say, no, I would not.
Is that okay with you, Mom?
Of course. My child is the living embodiment of every principle that I ever taught her, which is one, you're true to yourself, you fight for what you believe in, you stand up for what's right, and you defend people. If you were born with a silver spoon in your mouth almost, and you have the obligation and responsibility to do what's right and stand up and be counted, because at least in her case, she was supported from the beginning. So she's the one who should be up here being an advocate and being the one who can have the strength to talk, because she's getting support.
Be right back.
Action News is coming up right after Geraldo. We may be just hours away from a major airline strike. We'll have the latest on the turbulence surrounding Eastern Airlines and the turmoil for Eastern passengers.
Los Angeles police say they've broken up a ring of suspects who allegedly followed people in expensive cars home and then robbed them.
Then, is Los Angeles County doing all it can to help abused children?
Children are being forgotten by a system, not the social workers.
And we'll find out if 3 of our era's major directors can put together one good film. Steve Kometko reviews New York Stories next.
That's the show. Remember you gave me 2 tickets?
Cats. Cats, of course.
You know what gets me? Not having a real choice with pantyhose. I mean, if I want them to look and feel really silky, I have to go to a department store and spend a small fortune. But if I run into the market, spend what I should. This is my choice. But now I found sheer indulgence, and they're so silky and smooth and shaped like me. And I found them right next to these for just a little more. Now, why didn't somebody think of this sooner?
New Burlington Sheer Indulgence. A feeling so good it shows.
Glasses in about an hour? I thought, sure, as long as the lenses are simple. But I've got a tricky prescription, so I tried Lens Crafters.
Lens Crafters crafts your quality glasses in about an hour by putting the whole lab right in the store, so you can see better and work better in about an hour.
Made me a pair of top quality no-line bifocals, and they did it in 51 minutes. No kidding.
Lens Crafters, custom crafted eyeglasses in about an hour. Call 1-800-722-LENS for one of 20 L.A. locations near you.
How do you spend the 3 minutes it takes to make a Maruchan instant lunch?
Basically, I save the earth. Choo-choo, chop! Choo-choo, choo-choo-choo-choo.
Chippendales, the fantasy that never ends.
Schindler, L.A. Magazine says it's powerful, part High Noon, part Rocky.
This is an institution of learning, ladies and gentlemen. If you can't control it, how can you teach?
Roy Leonard, WGN Radio TV, calls it the feel-good movie of the year.
They used to call me Crazy Joe, but now they can call me Batman.
From the director of Rocky and the Karate Kid, Lean on Me, rated PG-13, now playing at a theater near you.
For transcripts, please send $3 to Journal Graphics, Geraldo Transcripts, 267 Broadway, New York, New York, 10007. Or call 212-227-READ.
Did your sexual orientation, however suppressed, cause your divorce?
It didn't cause my divorce. And since I have 30 seconds, let me say this, that I'm 49 now. When I was coming out, and I've known I'm gay since I'm 10 years old, and started to deal with it when around 18, and I decided to put it in the closet. It was a very different time then. And I didn't tell my mother because I was afraid of the reaction, and I was afraid of losing her. And I told her as an adult, and of course she said to me, I always knew you were different. And I don't know if that was true.
The moral of the story?
The moral of the story is, I wish I had Tona for me personally, although I'm not advocating coming out to your parents again because of you can't predict how they're going to respond. But it was a very different time in the 50s, and this is the 80s now.
Should teenage lesbians be more optimistic, yes or no?
Yes.
Okay.
Definitely.
Services have been furnished to the Geraldo Show in exchange for these announcements. Hotel accommodations in New York City provided by the Omni Park Central in mid-Manhattan near Carnegie Hall, Central Park, and Broadway theaters. Call 800-THE-OMNI or 212-484-3300.
Rachel, Ellen, Renata, we wish you happiness. Thank you, moms. Thank you all. Thank you. And thanks for watching, folks. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Good evening. I'm Jim Lamb.
Aloha, I'm Ed Hogan, owner of Pleasant Hawaiian Holidays, where we make paradise affordable.
Now you can stay from 2 days to 30 days at a low package price.
Good evening. I'm Jim Lampley.
I'm Penny Griego, in for Bree Walker. This is Action News at 5.
Our top story tonight. In just 4 hours, machinists for Eastern Airlines say they'll walk off the job. A short time ago, federal mediators announced that the Machinists Union had rejected Eastern Management's last offer, and the federal mediators now fully expect a strike. The impending job action comes after a bitter 17-month dispute over wage concessions. It's a walkout that President Bush could have blocked, and a walkout that has travelers all across the country nervous tonight. Chris Blatchford has details.
Eastern Union machinists who work at LAX spent most of today preparing for a strike.